for joining us today for our webinar about empowering elders and enhancing their well-being with delivered meals. My name is Dexter and I'll be your host today. It is my honor to introduce our speaker, Ruth Masterson, Executive Director of Meals on Wheels of Takoma Park and Silver Spring. Since 2018, Ruth has led the organization to new heights, now delivering over 55,000 meals annually. That's a lot, and that's amazing. With over 25 years of experience in the nonprofit sector and a Master of Public Policy from Johns Hopkins University, Ruth is dedicated to improving the lives of elderly individuals by providing nutritious meals and fostering independence and well-being. Today, Ruth will share her insights into how Meals on Wheels delivers not just food, but also dignity, health, and hope to those in need.
It is a delight to get to speak with you all today. Thank you for tuning in. I am Ruth Masterson, the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels of Takoma Park, Silver Spring. I was so pleased when Barbara asked me to talk with you all today, and it's great to have you here. If you have any questions throughout my presentation, I am so happy to answer them and hopefully engage in some good conversation. But please do jot down your questions as we go, or maybe type them in the chat, and we can take as much time as we have at the end available to answer questions and have a conversation. I could talk about our program all day, but I won't. Instead, I'll follow a loose sort of thematic process of talking about who we are today, looking back a little bit at our history, and then looking to what lays ahead in our future. If you were to walk into our kitchen in Takoma Park, this is about what you'd see. On the left, the photograph, on the right, get my directions correct. On the right, you can see a picture of Anthony beaming out at us. He is our chef. He is preparing what looks like some kind of pot roast or meatloaf. And then the larger picture is of the kitchen crew that day, plating the hot meals to deliver them to our 120 or so clients. Our program is one of approximately 5,000 independent Meals on Wheels programs across the country. And of course, there are even more internationally. In the United States, there is no central organizing entity. Each program in the country has sprung up in its own community to meet the needs of that community. Nobody tells our organization where our funding is going to come from, what our policies should be, what we should cook. Instead, each program uses the name, which is not trademarked, to do the program that works best in their community. As you can imagine, this creates some idiosyncrasies and pretty big differences between the programs. And some areas have duplicate coverage while other places have none whatsoever. But each program can adapt to the needs of its community. Our own program is proud to have found a sweet spot of being both a small program, which means we can really get to know our clients well and work with our community in a deeper way. But we also have our own kitchen. Many programs our size have had to either close their doors or they moved to a model of contracting with a hospital, and they deliver frozen meals or hospital prepared meals to clients. We are really proud that we're able to serve fresh meals served literally hot off the stove to our clients. Our mission, simply said, is to nourish our community. And we do this through the delivery of delicious, healthy meals to our homebound neighbors, and we conduct other programs as well. Last year, in 2023, our one kitchen with 240 volunteers and 8 staff, the volunteers contributed over 12,000 hours, preparing 55,642 meals that were delivered to 236 neighbors over the course of the year. We serve anyone who is homebound, and we serve anyone who lives in our service area. So those are our two criteria, that our clients are homebound and live in our service area. The latter, of course, is pure practicality so we can get to them. And this is our service area. The southern boundary, as you can see, is the Washington, D.C. The northern boundary is the Beltway. We serve all of Silver Spring and all of Takoma Park, as well as part of Prince George's County. We serve in Adelphi, Langley Park, and Chilham in Prince George's County. We actually also get calls many times a day from people who live outside our service area, so we consider it part of our mission and part of our service to help them identify their closest program. Looking first at our clients, because they are the core of our mission. The wonderful people on this slide are people who are near and dear to us, and it is truly an honor to meet them, to serve them, and to get to know them and do our best to work with them and support them in living longer in their homes with dignity and respect. We are able to serve clients in a wide range of income levels. We serve regardless of age or income, and we serve in every kind of neighborhood, including many immigrant communities. If you are trapped in your home, hunger doesn't care if you're well off or not, what your education was, how big your bank account is. We serve our elders and seniors. We also serve people living with disabilities, those undergoing treatment for cancer or other illnesses who are immunocompromised, and short-term recovering from surgery or illness. During the pandemic, we even served entire families. We had one child as young as 6 that we delivered for a while. We served them short-term for a time-limited amount of time, but we're pleased that we'll be able to serve them as well and help keep our community stronger and safer. So speaking of family, we find that we serve entire family systems with our meal delivery. So each of the people you see here has received meals from us, but much more. Their families are able to rest easy knowing that their loved ones are getting meals. And it also, 1 year of our service costs less than 10 days in an institution or an overnight in an emergency room. So the cost savings of relying on our service, which reduces falls, and many of you probably know that falls are the leading injury related cause of death among seniors. It reduces falls and simultaneously helps keep these people out of institutions, out of hospitals, and saves their families a great deal of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another lens at which we can look at our clients is some demographic information. About half are African American or Black, 33% identify as white. There are just over 10% who are Hispanic or Latinx, 4% Asian or Pacific Islander, 2% American Indian or Alaska Native. By generation, we still have a few people who have touched the 100-year-old mark and are members of the greatest generation. 34%, about a third, are in the silent generation, also called traditionalist with some other names. 46% are baby boomers. I have worked at this program for 6 years, and in that time, I've seen this number grow. So boomers are definitely aging, and we're witnessing that. 13% are Gen X, and 6% are millennials. So really fairly young, but they're suffering with illness, or they may be living with disabilities. More than half of our clients live alone. As I mentioned earlier, we're extremely proud of the quality of the meals we deliver. We now have 2 paid cooks. We have a head chef who does the hot entrees, and we have a deli manager who prepares all of our side salads, and another part-time person who helps coordinate the volunteers in the kitchen and make sure everyone is trained and actively engaged. We serve 2 meals every weekday, 1 hot and 1 deli meals to up to 120 clients a day. And we rotate and offer a tremendous amount of variety. We have a regular entree and we have a vegetarian version. With the regular entree, we serve fish once a week, chicken a couple of times, and we rotate in beef and pork as well. We have partnerships with a number of organizations locally, Whole Foods, Crossroads Farmers Market, a group called Passion and Compassion, and other organizations that provide tremendous donations of fresh produce. And then we purchase our meat. We also get our bread donated through Spring Mill or Panera. And yeah, we're able to provide a lot of locally sourced and fresh produce. Much, not all, but much of it is organic. The hot meal is prepared by our cook in the morning. As I mentioned, Anthony arrives about 8 or 8:30 in the morning and gets the stove going. Then we have volunteers come in at 9 o'clock along with those staff, and they begin preparing the deli meal. What you see here is the hot meal, which is plated at about 11:15. And then at noon, the drivers arrive and scoop up the hot and deli meals and take them out to the clients. All of our meals are medically tailored. They are all heart healthy and diabetic friendly. We would not be able to prepare or deliver meals without the many volunteers who support our clients every day. Last year, a total of 240 volunteers came through our doors, including most who are regular, and they have 1 day a week to cover a shift. We have students coming in to do SSL hours, student service learning hours, and more. We have a terrific time together and love getting meals out the doors to our clients. Every Monday through Friday, the first shift comes in from 9 to noon in the kitchen, and a second shift from 12:15 to 2:15. Drivers drive from noon to about 1:30. Or sorry, yes, no, that's correct. Noon to about 1:30. Okay. We rely on our volunteers. We also rely on donations from the community. As an independent 501c3 community-based charitable nonprofit, donations to us are tax deductible. And how do we cover our costs? So our income side, about a third up to maybe 40% are covered by contributions from the county under contract, reimbursements per meal delivered. Does not cover all of our costs. So we also do fundraising. We had our first fundraising event just recently, but more often we are writing foundation grants, and we are reaching out to our community to ask for donations.
Volunteering to drive for Meals on Wheels means more. More than the healthy, delicious meals you deliver to your neighbors. More than helping the homebound maintain their independence. More than the thousands of dollars saved by families keeping their loved ones at home. Volunteering to drive for Meals on Wheels is about the lives you touch and the friends you make.
That wonderful 30-second spot was something that we produced very recently, and we're so happy to get it out and get our message out. We were able to play that on TV thanks to a grant, and now share it in situations like that. I think it does a beautiful job of summarizing much of what I've already shared and getting our message across. So a little bit more back to the numbers. We have grown every single year. As you can see, in 2020, we had a big jump from about 30,000 meals to 42, almost 43,000 But actually, to our surprise, we continue to grow every single year. Last year, we served, as I've mentioned before, almost 56,000 meals. One of the ways that we receive donations is through monthly donors. We call our monthly donors our fan club, and we use that income, we dedicate it to an additional program, not just meals, more than meals. We deliver fans to our homebound neighbors in the summer. This is a staff person delivering a fan in the summer heat. We also deliver space heaters to our neighbors or to our clients in the winter months. Here's some pictures of us helping our clients. We have rave reviews, and we've started having people ask in advance if they can get a fan this year. We do rotate through our clients so that everyone has a chance to get one. And this is our fabulous team. I just had to share this picture. This is at a staff meeting when we were all present. So this is the current staff. We've got a client programs coordinator, 2 volunteer coordinators, community engagement, our chef, operations manager, and myself. So that's who we are now, but let's take a quick look back at our history. I have done a little bit of looking into the history of Meals on Wheels, and I found it quite interesting. So I'll share just a couple of slides and a few pictures. The first Meals on Wheels deliveries were made by a British organization founded in 1938. They were named the Women's Voluntary Services for Air Raid Precautions. Obviously, this is from World War II. It is now known, the same organization is now known as the Royal Voluntary Service, and it is the largest volunteering organization in British history. The organization was originally formed to recruit women during World War II to assist civilians before and after air raids by providing emergency rest centers, first aid, and assisting with evacuating children. They coordinated the many of us have seen photographs, or it's been dramatized in movies, getting the children out of London to protect them. Let's see. And I also find it interesting, sorry about that. I want to stick here one more minute. The first known use of the phrase Meals on Wheels was in a letter in 1943 written by Lady Angwin, a British woman, who credits the coining of the phrase to her driver, an American woman named Pauline Finot. And I have been told she was a significant help to gaining support from the United States during World War II. The first Meals on Wheels program was initiated at the end of 1943, north of London. These are photographs from our own program's history. The first American home delivered meal program began in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in January of 1954. We came along a little bit later. We were incorporated in 1970, and we began meal delivery service in 1971. So with all of this information about who we are now and where we came from, what's next? We have a lot of dreams and aspirations, including some programs that aren't even listed on this slide, such as working with schools. We're signed up to work with our local elementary school and a local preschool to bring a program to the students so that they can learn more about empathy and how they can help in their community. We are hoping to offer courses, so I'll get to that in a second. So if we grow our breadth of service, so go wider, we would be delighted to serve more clients. We have the capacity to take a few more right now, but if we were going to really transform our program, we're seeking funding to do that in the future. And then also growing the depth of service for our existing clients. We serve 2 meals a day, Monday through Friday, but what about breakfasts? What about weekends? What about holidays? We do serve some meals, additional meals, whenever we can, shelf-stable meals, but we have ideas like stocking their pantries to help them out on weekends, or providing breakfast food. In terms of health and enrichment, we are interested in getting funding to run some yoga programs, gentle stretching, maybe some arts enrichment, and maybe projects that can bring people together a little bit socially. And finally, home services. So working more with social workers, helping provide those connections, safety aids in the home, all the different things that our clients need in order to live with greater dignity, and greater self-respect and more opportunities to socialize. If you, in your work or personal life, encounter someone who is homebound and lives in our service area, please call us, have them call us. If you are interested in partnering with us, let us know who you serve. We can refer our clients to you as well. These are some of the current partnerships that we have. And I really think that in looking ahead to the future, it has a lot to do with partnerships. We want to build out our own programs, but we also can't do it all. And the more and better we can work together, the stronger our community will be. From 1945 in England through 2024 and beyond in Takoma Park, Silver Spring, we keep going, growing, and serving. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to close down the PowerPoint and be available to answer questions.
All right. Now, I would just like to welcome your questions, ladies and gentlemen. And so to answer your questions, we are gonna be joined by Ruth, of course, and Ruth's colleague, Daniel Adams. He is the current board chair and have been a volunteer for 9 years. How amazing is that? First question is coming from Christian, and the question is, what are the requirements to apply?
I'll go ahead and answer that. In order to receive meals, the requirements are that you are homebound and live in our service area. The service area requirement is purely practical, and homebound obviously as well, but in a different way. To be homebound, we define that as individuals who have difficulty getting out of their homes to get groceries, or if they have groceries in the home, they have difficulty preparing their own meals. We do serve regardless of age or income, and we serve long-term and short-term.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add, Daniel?
That's the answer. If you want to volunteer, you simply have to be available.
Yeah, thanks for that follow-up.
And
That's
passive
a really,
background.
really nice. Of course, some people who are watching here would probably love to volunteer and get involved directly with you guys. So, we'll just be sending them an email on how to contact you guys regarding that for further questions about volunteering and applying. So, yeah, here's a message from Karina. Thank you for this important information. So thank you as well for attending. And the next question is coming from Carl. How have you been managing the rising fuel costs?
We have been very blessed in that our volunteer deliverers have covered those costs. They're responsible for driving their own vehicles, and so far that has worked well. We do provide quarters for the places where street parking that's metered is necessary or helpful, but generally people cover their own, the volunteers cover the costs themselves.
Awesome, awesome. So here's another question. Is there an income requirement, and is the service completely free, or is it based off a sliding scale?
There's no income requirement. we serve regardless of age or income. We do sliding scale, and that has worked very well for us historically because people who do have a meaningful income but are homebound and still need to eat, they're able to pay at a higher level than people who have less income and are struggling to purchase the groceries financially. So they're able, the people with higher incomes effectively subsidize those who have lower incomes. There was another part of that question. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Income requirement, is the service completely free? Is it based off a sliding scale? So that's basically the
Yes.
question.
Yeah. The cost, the highest amount that any client pays is half of our cost, which is $250 a month. And the lowest amount people pay is no pay. So we have about half of our clients who pay nothing at all. About 20% to 25% pay full pay, and the remaining pay somewhere in between. We don't do any paperwork related to that. We just do it based on trust and conversation, asking people what they feel comfortable paying and what they can afford to agree together on an amount that works for them.
So here's the next question then from Carl. How are you preparing for the silver avalanche when the baby boomer generation retire?
To a point, I think we are in the middle of it, right? So uh, we have a wait list, and we have are always operating basically at capacity. Um, one of the things that we're constantly thinking about from the board perspective is how to be prepared for expansions, and that's something that we recently, a few years ago, just took over operations for another Meals on Wheels, and it strains a lot of the nonprofits and a lot of the services that cater to the elderly. So yeah, we're conscious of it. We're constantly strained, and we're dealing with it.
Also,
Perfect.
I'll piggyback on what Daniel said, basically just a little more detail, but the same message. We did do a merger with another Meals on Wheels program in 2019, which increased and we had previously increased our capacity to be able to take that on. And then as a result of the pandemic, we have done some extensive renovations. We've doubled our kitchen size, and we have done renovations in the core kitchen originally to allow for more storage and more space. I think we could increase our capacity substantially. And then we would just have to find new strategies. For example, yesterday we did a taste test with an entity that sells prepared meals. We don't currently need that, but I was speaking with the chef afterwards. And if, for example, we suddenly had a whole lot new clients, maybe he would cook 4 days a week and then have 1 day a week where we bring in purchased meals. That would give him time to do the planning and prep work he needed for the next week, for example. So we do have thoughts and plans in place. We're not being entirely just reactive, but we do take it a step at a time.
All right. Okay, here's another question. I believe somebody asked this, like, what are the requirements to apply? But probably this is a good follow-up question, right? So the question is, how can someone apply, and what is the application process?
Whether you are interested in being a client or referring a client or volunteering, you can go to our website, which is MOW for Meals on Wheels Tacoma, so motacoma.org. And if you click on volunteer, there's a little registration form. If you click on services, there's a spot to express your interest in being a client or referring a client. The other way is you can also just simply give us a call. So that number is 301 434-1922. We often have our hands full and things do go to voicemail somewhat, but we pick up those messages in short order and return every call, and we're doing client intakes and volunteer intakes daily by phone.
Here's a question from Lenora. Is this a charitable organization? And I believe this was answered a while ago. I'll just read it so that, she knows her question is being read. Are there any clients receiving meal not having to pay?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes, and yes, in brief, as Daniel said, we are a tax-exempt nonprofit charitable organization. We're recognized by the IRS under 501c3. Donations to us are tax deductible. And we are, in every way, we are a nonprofit entity. And we do have a no pay option for clients who cannot afford anything. It makes a big difference to have some support from our clients. So we do talk to everyone about that possibility. But we have no pay clients. We have clients who pay $25 a month for meals 5 days a week. And we have people who pay a maximum of $250 a month, which is about half what it costs us to actually provide the meals. So we do a lot of fundraising and outreach to community and foundations to fill in the many gaps.
You can find our 990 on any place where you do your nonprofit research.
Here's another question from Brandon. What are some of the other Meals on Wheels locations within the DMV area, same Montgomery County and DC specifically?
In Montgomery County, there are about 6 programs. The largest is Meals on Wheels of Central Maryland, and they go to many places in the county. They're based out of Baltimore. We're the second largest, filling in the urban areas, so the Metro Maryland area in Montgomery County and a portion of Prince George's County. Also in Montgomery County, there's Wheaton, Colesville, Gaithersburg, Bethesda, Chevy Chase, and there are areas that are not covered by any group at all. Unfortunately, if they were adjacent to us, we would fill that in, but they're farther afield and we can't get to them. In Prince George's County, there's only one other Meals on Wheels program. It's College Park. I am not sure about DC, and I know there are several programs in DC and in Virginia, but I'm less familiar with them by name. If you go to, there's a membership organization. So one thing I emphasized in the presentation is that there's no central organizing entity, and that's true. The membership association does some lobbying for us and holds conferences and webinars. They're not above us or in charge of us in any way, but they do have a list. So you could go to mealsonwheelsamerica.org and search by zip code and find out what the closest programs are to any location in the country.
Awesome. Here's a question from Carl. Do the various Meals on Wheels have ways to share best practices or share information?
Yes, it is a little bit catch as catch can, and but I am in contact with the Prince George's County and Montgomery County programs, and we visit one another. And this fall, I'm going to be implementing a twice annual invitation event to see if we can all get together in the same room. But I do visit them and we talk on the phone. Meals on Wheels America holds an annual conference in August, and I go to that every year. And we have great sessions on a lot of topics of common interest. And I've made some great contacts through that mechanism.
Catch as catch can is really the that's a good summary. I'll also add to that. Yeah, we share information and we network with other Meals on Wheels orgs. There are also other nonprofits who overlap with us who may not necessarily be a Meals on Wheels per se. So we also share information and have contacts with other food service organizations or other senior focused organizations and other local DMV focused organizations. So Martha's Table, Food and Friends, Capital Area Food Bank, stuff like that.
Yes,
and
thank you.
actually Montgomery County in particular, Montgomery County, Maryland has a very extensive network and has resources available for food insecure or food related nonprofits.
Yes, that's a really good point. And we also, Daniel was pointing out the other food security groups. We have a lot of partnerships and connections with them, including a program that we've implemented just at our own program. Every quarter, or every 3 months, we pick a new nonprofit, and everyone on staff is invited during their work hours to go and quote unquote volunteer at that other entity. It's not required, but it's an invitation. And so people have the opportunity during their paid hours to go to 4 different organizations. Shepherd's Table, we've done them. We're currently doing DC Central Kitchen, and we learn a lot from that. And we talk about what they do well and what we do well and what we can implement in our program. But they're not always Meals on Wheels programs per se, but Food and Friends is one that I'm looking forward to as well.
I'm realizing through the comments that this is a fairly large, I'm sort of appreciating the audience. So just for the record, DMV means DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Didn't realize there are people from, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So here's a message for you. Okay. Thank you for providing this great service to our community. And another from Phoebe. I'm blown away by the work that you do. It's invaluable. Thank you. And here's a question. Will you be doing a webinar for free food agencies for cancer patients and elderly and those with disabilities who are not homebound in Montgomery County, MD? Thanks.
Yeah, the last question is, I think, probably more for visiting angels than for us, because we do really focus on homebound. But also want to, thank everyone who participated, for your interest, and please stay in touch. We don't know who you are, what your questions or interests might be, but we are always open to partnerships, clients, volunteers, new ideas or opportunities. Happy to have you reach out. Just give a call at our main line and I'll call you back, or shoot me an email.
From Mildred. Thank you for the webinar. This is USA based and believe it does not apply to UK. Bless you for such great work and blessings you are to the elderly. Please go on. The Lord bless you all. Bye for now. Okay. Yeah. Any reaction, Daniel, Ruth?
It's humbling.
Anyway, here's a message from Carl. What saddens me is that so often you all are the only resources for some of these folks and are the ones who really notice when they're at risk.
Well, Carl's last comment actually brings up another good point, because our volunteers who deliver directly to the clients are also giving wellness checks. So sometimes the homebound recipient may not be seeing any other people for a long time, or the visit that they get from the Meals on Wheels, sometimes they have care, but sometimes they don't. We've caught people in situations where we've had to call emergency services or what have you, or call for some other resource. And who knows how long they would have gone if for not someone checking up on them. Food is medicine. Our services keep people out of hospitals, which it reduces expenses for themselves and their families. So it's a good return on investment. If you can't, if you're not in a position to volunteer, if you can't, drive a route in the middle of the day, then support your local Meals on Wheels as best you can, because you're supporting people in your community who need it more than just meals.
I think Daniel wrapped things up beautifully. He said everything so nicely. But yes, we We are the kind of eyes and ears on the ground, and we're often the only people our clients speak to every day. And we do talk to client families and emergency contacts and sometimes emergency services on a daily or weekly basis. Emergency services, not so frequently, thank goodness, but families for sure. We're calling several families a week just to let them know how their loved one is doing and alert them of things or ask them questions.
So like we said in our emails, we are not only nourishing health, but also, the dignity of these people, their safety and all. A question. I'm on a low fiber, low fat diet due to GI motility issues. Is this diet possible on Meals on Wheels?
This is an example where our partnerships come into play. We have a regular meal, we refer to it as regular, and we have a vegetarian option. For individuals with more detailed needs, we would refer them to Food and Friends. Food and Friends also prepares and delivers meals to homes locally. They also deliver farther afield, they deliver groceries, but they only have as clients people who have pretty serious medical needs and very specific and sometimes very complicated meal requirements. They also only take clients with a doctor's referral. So they can step in for these more technical needs than we can. But we, on the other hand, will take a referral from anybody. Anybody can call us that needs meals, and we can serve them within a day or two. We can start service. But for those with more detailed needs, we would refer on to Food and Friends because they're able to handle the technical things, and they do not offer a regular meal delivery.
Meals on Wheels organizations menu is their offerings are reviewed by a registered dietitian.
Yeah, we have to meet Montgomery County requirements, working with a nutritionist who reviews our menus and approves them and tweaks them as needed.
All right. I think that's it for all the questions. Just a final message from Jeanette. Thank you for sharing. It's very good help for our elderly. Thanks for your help. Anyway, in behalf of Visiting Angels and our audience here and all the people and souls you have helped, Daniel and Ruth, thank you very much for being with us today. Yes, this coffee chat, everyone, is held every third Wednesday of the month. And these coffee chats that we do are here to invite expert panelists to share important information to help give our elderlies better quality of life, make things easier and better for them, but not only for the elderly, of course, but also for the people who takes care of them. So yes, thank you very much. We will see you again next time. Have a great day.
Visiting Angels. We're committed to enriching the lives of elders and their significant others. Our monthly coffee chat sessions aim to make your lives easier and better by providing quality information from our expert panelists. We're here to elevate your quality of life, offer practical wisdom, and ensure you have access to valuable insights. See you again next third Wednesday of the month.